always, I'm happy to be here. My name is Shiva. I'm the technical solutions architect at HYCU. Been with the company for almost like 4.5 years now. Expect the session to be interactive as always. So if you have any questions or uh, suggestions, please feel free to post them on chat, and I'll do my best to answer those questions. So with that being said, um, as far as the whole data protection landscape is concerned, from a requirement standpoint or from a use case standpoint, it's pretty much the same, right? I mean, uh, take any vertical like healthcare, banking, or any sector. I mean, the underlying use case or the underlying need for data protection is pretty much common that we have seen across all customers across all landscapes. Is the number one reason why every IT infrastructure is focused on data protection is because of unforeseen human error, right? It could be accidentally deleting a file or a spreadsheet that has important information, or it could be because of misconfigurations or, like unforced human error, right? And those oops moments where you basically have lost a file and you're trying to recover it as soon as possible. So this is pretty much most of the times where, IT administrators or the operations team is basically trying to recover these solutions as quickly as possible by using a backup solution. In addition to human errors, we've also seen or we've also heard concerns about internal breaches where users, disgruntled employees trying to access information or trying to delete information and causing a harm like to the entire organization itself because of just one disgruntled employee or because of one access control that was overseen. And we're seeing more and more concerns and we're basically hearing from our customers to ensure that backup turns out to be this last line of defense, where when any critical data gets lost, backups are basically the only mechanism to recover that lost data. And speaking of malicious attacks, the last but not the least, the third attack or the third most common security threat that I'd like to talk about is ransomware attacks. I mean, as you all know, ransomware attacks have become more and more prevalent. It's not just healthcare; pretty much any vertical, is pretty much like vulnerable for ransomware attacks. I mean, there used to be a time where healthcare and banking sectors were one of the most vulnerable set of targets when it came to ransomware attacks. But today, at this day and age, ransomware attacks have become so common, so frequent that no one is safe. I mean, everyone is forced to basically follow the security protocol to ensure that they have a proper set of rules and security enforcement in place. And when a ransomware attack happens, again, backups are the only last line of defense where you can actually recover data to the last uncorrupted state. So these are probably one of the most three major use cases that we have seen consistently across all of our customers. And with that being said, what are the most common challenges that when we basically speak to our healthcare customers, right? One of the most common requirement is to ensure that all of the data, especially the patient data, is compliant, right? Especially when it comes to not just retaining the information in an electronic format, but also ensuring that the data is retained for X amount of time and ensure that this data is recoverable whenever it's required, right? And this actually goes even beyond, whether an organization is up and running at the end of the day, because the understanding is when you have a certain set of compliance standards, those compliance standards cannot be breached or cannot be missed at any given point in time. And data protection plays an extremely vital role. And while trying to keep up with these compliances, or while trying to keep up with these security standards, you also need to ensure that you're not spending too much time or too much amount of resources in ensuring that your data is compliant. And also you also need to ensure that your operating costs are under control. Because too often we've seen customers spending way too much amount of time or resources or even money to invest in a data protection solution that is way more complex, that's way more expensive, and it takes too much amount of time and resources to deploy the solution in their environments, right? So with that being said, I'd like to talk about how our solution has basically helped simplifying these challenges. I'd like to talk about a certain set of use cases that have been really addressed by our existing customers. And once I talk about those use cases, I just wanted to provide a high-level overview of what our solution can provide in terms of data protection when it comes to healthcare customers. So when it comes to our customers, or the reason why our customers have truly loved our solution is because we basically try to follow the most 5 major pillars when it comes to investing in a data protection solution. The first thing that we always showcase is simplicity, right? We always recommend our customers to look for a solution that's simple, intuitive, easy to use, right? When it comes to deployment, when it comes to discovery, configuration, maintenance, as far as the entire solution's experience, or the user experience, or the customer experience goes, it should be extremely simple and easy to deploy, easy to use, and it should require pretty much minimal to zero maintenance. And obviously, you need to have a solution that's also scalable, right? Because when it comes to simplicity, there's always this misconception that when a solution is extremely easy to use or way too simple, it cannot scale to an enterprise or to an enterprise standard, or to an organization with thousands of workloads running. So the second hallmark that I'd like to point out here, apart from simplicity, is also scalability. You need to basically invest in a solution that's easy to use, but at the same time doesn't compromise in its ability to scale across your workloads located within one or multiple data centers, be it on-prem or be it on public cloud. The third point that I'd like to talk about is security, right? So as I pointed out before, it goes without saying that your backups need to be secure. You need to ensure that you have a zero trust architecture. What we call is an air-gapped backup strategy, where your backups are basically vaulted in a highly secure location where the access is extremely restricted. Ensure that you have network segmentations in place. Ensure that you have appropriate role-based access control with multi-tenant capabilities. And in addition to that, ensure that your backups are immutable by writing these backups to worm-enabled object storage. So there's basically a huge checklist of items that you have to take care of, and if you have to ensure that your backups are secure and recoverable, if you have any malicious attack, or if you have a ransomware attack. The fourth point that I'd like to talk about is native integration. So regardless of where your healthcare applications run, your backup solution need to have the ability to natively integrate to that given platform, so that when we are doing backups of your production workloads, you shouldn't have any performance impact on your production, because the best backup solution out there is basically a solution that shouldn't, that's pretty much invisible. It shouldn't have any performance impact or any negative impact on your production environment when those backups are happening, and you shouldn't even know they exist until the time when you basically have to do a restore, right? And of course, the backups should be restorable at that given point in time. The last point that I wanted to talk about is cost, right? So as I pointed out before, I believe that your backups shouldn't go beyond 20 to 30% of cost, or 20 to 30% of your production cost, right? I've seen a number of times that there are so many like enterprise backup solutions or backup solutions that have been advertised as enterprise ready or cloud ready, but that basically shoot the budget up, which is like 50 or 60% the cost of your production environment. And that, in my opinion, is not the right way to do backups or invest in a backup and recovery solution. So these are the top 5 hallmarks that I always focus on when I try to provide recommendations, or basically get into a consultative approach of recommending a solid backup and recovery solution. So with that being said, I just wanted to talk about some of our case studies. Obviously, I don't have the liberty to share the customer names, but I can definitely give you some hints about who these customers are or what their primary line of business is. So the first case study is about a healthcare software and services company, where they basically they had this extremely critical need of protecting their workloads, especially running on their Google Cloud, because they have all of their SaaS applications hosted from Google Cloud. They have a huge Google Cloud commit, and they basically moved their workloads from their on-prem infrastructure to their Google Cloud. But they did have some remnants of their workloads, I would say maybe 10% of their workloads running within their on-prem infrastructure. And the challenge that these guys were facing was they had an extremely lean staff, but they still had to keep up with all of their data protection requirements as they did in their on-prem infrastructure. But they were only left with Google Cloud snapshots for all of their Google Cloud VMs, they basically had to ensure that they had these customized scripts to keep track of all of these snapshots, which in itself was a tedious task. And of course, being in a healthcare industry, they had extremely stringent compliance requirements, right? So, and that's when they reached out to us. So we basically went through an extremely smooth proof of concept, and we were able to solve the following problems, right? The problems were we basically provided a full-fledged native platform support for Google Cloud. We were able to basically provide them a multi-regional data protection. So it's not just about protecting their workloads natively in one region. We also provided them the option of doing backups to multiple regions within the same public cloud infrastructure. And the amount of cost savings that they were able to achieve by just getting away from snapshots, they didn't totally get away from snapshots, but they were able to reduce the amount of snapshots that was being used for their Google Cloud VMs. And they basically started storing their backups to their cost-efficient GCS object storage. And the amount of cost savings and the amount of operational efficiency that was increased was like enormous, because you're saving money by not storing backups in the form of snapshots in your production environment. You're offloading those backups to cost-efficient object storage. And by using our SaaS-based backup and recovery solution, the entire workflow, the operational efficiency that they were able to achieve was humongous, because as I pointed out before, all they basically had to do was subscribe to our solution and choose the appropriate set of VMs, configure the required set of policies, and that was pretty much about it. They didn't have to do anything beyond that, because the entire data protection process was fully automated. The second use case, or the second case study that I'd like to talk about, is they're not exactly a healthcare industry. They're actually a company that manufactures medical devices. And they pretty much had the same problem too. But in this case, instead of Google Cloud, they also had a presence in Azure as well. They basically wanted to migrate their on-prem workloads to Azure, and they wanted to have a common multi-cloud platform or a common multi-cloud data protection solution. And the challenge that they were facing was pretty much similar to the previous case study, right? Like having the same manual scripting methodology for maintaining the snapshots of their VMs, and leaning on multiple products, which are pretty much siloed with each other when it comes to protecting workloads on the respective cloud platform. As always, they were lean staffed with an extremely stringent compliance. And in this case, we basically, when we did the proof of concept, they actually loved our solution when it comes to this common user interface across multiple public cloud infrastructure. They also loved our story when it came to the true air gap backup strategy with immutable backups. And they were truly impressed with our scalability, right? The ability to scale up, scale out, scale up, scale down, and scale out to multiple infrastructures from on-prem to public cloud was something that they were really looking out for. And this actually gave them the confidence of future-proofing their data protection. So if they wanted to invest in any public cloud vendor, we will always be there to protect them. So these were one of the key hallmarks that they were impressed with, or these were the key features that, or the use cases that they were really impressed with when they invested in our solution. So having that said, I just wanted to summarize with what, the kind of solution that we provide. So what we do as I pointed out before, our solution, HYCU, basically stands for Hybrid Cloud Uptime. And what we truly offer is this single pane of glass simplicity, right? We basically provide you the same set of user interface when it comes to launching your backups or restores or migrations or disaster recovery workflows across all of your platforms within a single common user interface. And we are truly a multi-cloud data protection solution. We have the ability to provide you that same level of functionality, be it with regards to your workloads hosted on on-prem or any of your public cloud infrastructure. And we are fully focused on data privacy and security. When it comes to ensuring that these backups are fully secure, we can actually offer several layers of data security to ensure that it meets all of your stringent privacy requirements and ensure that these backups are truly protected from any malicious or ransomware attacks. And speaking of ransomware attacks, we've basically helped customers to recover their infrastructure from a ransomware attack in several shapes and forms. We basically delivered a native snapshot-based protection where they can basically restore their environment to the latest uncorrupted stage by instantly using their snapshots to recover all of their infrastructure at the same time. And even if their snapshots are aged out, they still have HYCU's backups that are stored offline in a secure vault where basically they can use those backups to recover to that same on-prem or to any public cloud infrastructure if their on-prem infrastructure is still being investigated for that given ransomware attack. And during that time of investigation, they don't have to schedule a downtime. They still have the ability to recover all of that data to any public cloud and still continue with their operations. So this is a quick overview about how our architecture looks like, be it with regards to our customers running their workloads on a on-prem infrastructure, or be it with regards to leveraging a given public cloud as a DR target. We always have the ability to treat all of these workloads in a unanimous, in a common format where we can basically provide a single user interface that has the ability to basically do backups of your on-prem to any public cloud and also have the ability to recover these backups to any public cloud infrastructure and fail them back to your on-prem infrastructure when required. So with that being said, I just wanted to summarize on the use cases that we are very specific to healthcare. So we basically have several healthcare customers where they use our solution to deliver or to basically have impact-free or backups or with no performance implications or with no performance impacts of their clinical workloads, especially when it comes to VDI-based workloads. And we have delivered application-consistent backups of all of their EHR or EMR solutions. We do have, supported application-consistent backups of our Epic databases that we have helped with, that we have helped several customers with. We've also several of our customers also use our solution to basically back up their PACS and VNA hosted on several NAS-based file systems. And they basically leverage HYCU's snapshotting capabilities to instantaneously recover their EHR or EMR solutions or their PACS or VNA by leveraging application-consistent backups. We also have the ability to back up patients' data with utmost privacy and security requirements. And this is basically delivered through our role-based access control and our multi-tenancy capabilities. And using our air-gap backup security, we can ensure that these backups are fully vaulted to a secure location and are fully auditable. Basically, give you a full list of details of who accesses these backups or who have the appropriate set of rights, and whether these backups are being accessed to do restores. Like, we basically keep complete track of how these backups are being utilized. And in that process, we basically have the ability to assure data compliance or backup compliance of all of your critical patient data at every level. So last but not the least, we basically launched our solution first in 2018, but we've come a long way. In 2022, we have basically recognized as a visionary in the Gartner's Magic Quadrant in 2022. This is a huge deal for us. This basically showcases the fact that we are trying to, reinvent the whole concept of data protection with simplicity, but with no compromises on scale, delivering a grassroots integration with any platform that we support, and ensure that all of your backups are fully secure with quality customer service, and at the same time, make sure that the costs are always under control, right? So I just wanted to give you a quick thank you. If you're interested in our solution, please visit us at www.hycu.com. You can also scan this QR code for a full featured trial of HYCU Protege, and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. So that is pretty much about it from my side, Ron. Just wanted to see if there are any questions.